Well, for those of you who are new to this group, let me explain what Protandim is and what it does. Protandim is a Nrf2 activator, and I realize that doesn't say anything to you guys if you're not a biochemist or have a PhD in some biomedical science. But I'm going to tell you very briefly what a Nrf2 activator is and what it does. It can be viewed as a biochemical wake-up call. Literally, these substances are messengers. And the way Protandim acts, and many of you have seen this before, but this is the single summary slide of what Protandim does when it approaches a human cell. And so in the upper right there, you see something labeled Protandim. You've just taken a Protandim. It's found its way into your bloodstream. It's reaching every cell in your body. And when Protandim approaches any human cell, there are receptors on the surface of that cell. It's the analogy I use. It's like Protandim steps on your front porch, and it rings your doorbell. What happens inside that cell is there's a change occurring, just like when your chime goes off or your doorbell rings. Pushing the button outside has caused a change inside. In this case, an enzyme has been activated. An enzyme is a machine that does something chemically within the cell. In this case, it's a kinase. You don't have to remember that. And here it's signified by being activated. It turned yellow, but now it's turned on by Protandim. What does it do? Well, the important player here is that little red circle labeled Nrf2. That's the biochemical messenger that needs to send information to the DNA in the nucleus of every cell in your body. And it's being held outside. The messenger is stuck to a blue protein there called KEAP1. And that complex is modified by this kinase. And what you can see is a little yellow group was added to Nrf2. It's been chemically modified. So that activated enzyme caused by Protandim ringing the doorbell, if you will, has modified Nrf2, changed its structural shape. It looks different to the blue protein that's holding it. And as a result, the blue protein lets go of the Nrf2. The blue protein, by the way, is stuck to the skeleton of the cell, so it's outside the nucleus. And that's where it's been holding Nrf2. Now that Nrf2 has been modified, it's released by the blue protein, and it's free to diffuse into the nucleus of every cell where the DNA resides. The DNA is the master blueprint for that cell, contains the plans for producing everything that cell needs to make. When Protandim goes in there, when Nrf2 goes in there, it now has access to 25,000 genes that are in the nucleus of every cell in your body. And about 400 or 500 of those genes have receptors where that Nrf2 can bind and act. You can think of it as a key and a lock, or you can think of it as an electrical switch that gets flipped. The Nrf2 finds the 500 genes that it can modify. It binds to them. It turns on that gene. And the end result is all 500 of those genes upregulate the thing that they encode, the blueprint for which they are for some product that the cell makes. So in this case, protective enzymes are produced in response to Protandim. That's how it works in a nutshell. The actual biochemistry is a little more complicated, but not much. Seriously, that's very close to the way I would explain this to my peers. That's what Protandim does. It activates Nrf2. The cell makes more of its protective survival-related enzyme.